Hello, and thank you for taking your time to look at my module ship. I finally decided to make a video. Alright, here goes. So, I've just put my module ship here, and we'll start looking at it. We'll start from the front and continue backwards, I think. So, this is the observation deck in the piloting module. As you can see, it has a double glass layer, so you can have a bit more security, because the room is well, it has oxygen and a med station, so can be used as a living quarter. There is room for customizing and decorating, whatever you choose. The core here, everything that's marked red is what I would call essential items, as in essential blocks. I would not advise removing them, but you can if you really want. Then I haven't done much decorations. I'm pretty much a practical guy. I go for usability, and then I leave decorations and design further than that to whoever chooses to use it. Then there's a cockpit door in order to separate the observation deck from the cockpit, because if you for some reason get a hull breach in this room, this cockpit will be sealed off, and it has its own air vent. These inventories are actually separate, and I found out that it could be nice to have an inventory which, if you're running a sorter script or something that moves items, and you want to place an item that you want to make sure that you can find, well, you place it here or there. However, these containers you can access the entire ship's inventory through these, from front to back. And what I do when, well, I've actually built this whole thing in survival, and when I've assembled it and I want to refill with sufficient amounts of uranium, I grab like 5,000-6,000 uranium rods and just toss them in here. And everything is evenly distributed between all the reactors. There's probably like, I don't know, a couple of hundreds. And here's the cockpit. 4 passenger seats so that you can bring your friends. Half spherical, more or less. Frontal view gives a bit of a, I guess you can call it a panorama. It has also a double layer. I don't know if you can see it, but double layer so that if you hit debris or something like that, the cabin won't depressurize, so it takes the first layer, and then you still have a second one. Transparent glass underneath the consoles so that you can see downwards, sort of, at least as a passenger. And the right console is where I can turn on my HUD, is where you control the gravity drive only. And this is if you just want to make sure that you don't accidentally hit the disconnect button and disconnect this module from the rest. However, if you want to pilot the piloting module and still be able to disconnect, you have that on button 8 and 9. As in my description of the ship modules, disconnect the connector at button 9 first, and then button 8. Alright, moving on. I probably should go through, well, I'll do it on the outside. I'll show you the color codes that I have put on every module. It's pretty easy. As you're connecting, to avoid confusion, you have yellow up, red is just the core center, then you have light blue, you have purple, which needs a little bit of light to see it, and then there's green underneath. So if you choose to disconnect the module and you fly around and you come back and you're a little disoriented and you're trying to see how do I assemble this, then the color codes will tell you which way to rotate and so on. As you can see, each module is also connected to each other with a connector, and the connector should, as long as it's on when you merge, automatically lock in. I'll take a little bit of the exterior. The exterior, as you can see on the inside, you can see it through the glass barely here. The backwards thrusters are inside the hull with enough space so that they don't cause damage. Side thrusters all the way around. Solar panels, so that you can just park it whatever you want and it'll run on battery power for well, just about everything except flying, and that's where your reactors come in. Here you have overlapping holes, or whatever you want to call it. There's holes on the front side so that the back thrusters on the next module does not eat up your ship. And this next module is the cargo module. As you can see, the cargo here. The center modules, some of them, look very much alike. So I put LCD screens at the top. So you can see cargo module front. And then on the other side it has cargo module back. The cargo module is, well, cargo, for sure. It has tons of cargo. I think, yeah, there's 16 large containers. 8 up, 8 down. And there's, I think it's 58 small ones, which I chose to use small ones because I wanted to fit in as much cargo space as possible. Of course, the cockpit, so you can pilot all modules have a cockpit, so you can pilot any of them separately, as well as using it for connecting and disconnecting. I put in catwalks, panels here. If you can see here, this is where the backward thrusters have their space, and I guess never mind. Well, you can see the other thruster over there to the front, well, the piloting module. It doesn't matter which order you assemble the middle sections, except of course the front section, which is the pilot, and the furthest back one, which is the thruster module. Standard issue for all modules is a core which has gyros, reactors, and batteries, and so on. Since it's a little cramped in this module, this is the only door that's a little lower than the others, but it doesn't matter. So here you can see cargo module back and factory module front. We'll move on to the factory module. In the factory module, I haven't maxed it out, but it's for anyone. If I chose to take a assembler, and I can just put it there if I want. So that's for anyone's choice to do if they want to. Same thing, catwalk panels, so you don't accidentally, with thruster damage, I wonder what's in this assembler, and then you back away and you fly into the thrusters and bam. Yeah, you know. So, everything else, standard batteries, gyros, etc. And as you can see, more space if you choose to expand or add. Moving on, not much more to see there. And again, the LCDs. This is the defense module, which is pretty distinguishable, so I didn't choose to put any LCDs on it, because if you can't see these green lasers, well, you don't need one. It has pretty much the same things. These conveyors, it's a little unfortunate that it's not as smooth as the rest of the modules, but it's the only way to do it without the thrusters burning them up. As you can see here, I have to take into consideration the thruster damage range. I put up a little bit of a shield block here so that the turrets has, well, less chance, let's say that, to hit the center where the merge blocks is, and also not hit other turrets. And the same thing goes for the main turrets. It has 4 Gatling guns, 4 missile turrets, and I think 1, 2, 4, 12 interior turrets. And these blocks are put, not just random blocks, they're put there so that the turrets don't fire on other turrets. That one can't hit that one. That one can't hit that one. And so on. That one there. That one there. And there. And there. So, that's that. Let's go inside. Inside, you have, for whoever chooses, you can hunker down in a bunker. Well, the outer shell is 1 light armor shell. Then you have a double inner layer of light armor over here. And then you have the inner layer, which is heavy armor. And then you have 4 flight seats to operate guns separately or manually. I figured with my testing that I did on other fighter ships, I just put 2 small cargo containers here, which you can assign for ammo, because even though they don't hold that much, you can fire for an hour or more with all these turrets using that capacity. It has additional reactors on the inside in case you get some critical hits to your main reactors somewhere in the ship. It'll still run on these as backups until you either defeat your enemy or are defeated. So at least you'll have a little bit of backup so that your systems don't shut down immediately as you get a critical hit. Anyway, LCD panels, so you can, well, timer block, programmable block, and then you can put in a program that either adjusts your turrets or does something to your turrets. I don't know what you want. Haven't really messed around with turret scripts, but now that they are customizable in the API, so if you put in a turret script with whatever, and then you can use on the other side here automated LCD panels stuff, and then you can look at the LCD panels. Let's say here you put ammo, you put any damaged blocks, any damaged turrets, turret count, and then so on. Let's say if you have like the turrets can actually detect enemies, so you can actually have a display that displays how many enemies you're facing, etc. That's about it, and I just chose some dimmed red light to make it look a little war roomish. Then moving on, if I didn't mention already, since each module has connectors both front and back, you can access everything from anywhere. Okay, this is the tech module. Even though you would see a beacon, it has a beacon in it. I did choose to put LCDs here because if you want to take off your beacon and be non-detectable, you would have to locate your tech module. The tech module, text panels, which is basically meant for your program blocks, running programs. It has timer blocks underneath, and these can just run any program you want. What I did in survival was I loaded in some programs. I displayed how much ice I had, how much oxygen, and all the ores, ingots, etc, etc, etc. And then you have a med station beacon, like I said, oxygen tanks, refinery, air vent over there, air vent over there in the corner, and then you have 3 projector blocks, probably a little bit overkill, but you can project self-repair images for your modules, or just new ships, etc, etc. And I did choose, since this room has a cylindrical core, and there, well, can cause a little bit of confusion as you're flying through what's up, what's down, and etc. Yellow is up, purple one side, and green down, and light blue there, which tells you what is what. And because the tech module has spherical gravity generators, so if I turn on that and my HUD, and you'll see that it has one spherical at each side, which that means that in the center you will have an equalized gravity point. So that allows me to do this. So I can walk around the core. So I'm looking at that panel and I'm just walking down here. Where was I going? And then I can stand here and access the programs like that. And then I can walk back up, check the panels, without having to worry about orientation as much, because you still know what's up by the yellow. And it's a little fun as well. You can jump and orbit the core. And in this, I mean, doing this, it gets a little confusing. Okay. Moving on, turning off the gravity jetpack. I think this is the back, if my sense of direction is still working. Nope, it's not. Okay, so this was the front. Moving across, and as you can see here, there's a little bit of damage as I backed this module up to this module. So even though the thrusters are aligned so that they they shouldn't do that. As you approach, if you're too close while you're adjusting your upside, up, down, left, and right, you can cause thruster damage, of course. Now this module is the hanger module. Yeah, I didn't put LCDs here either, but pretty distinguishable from the side, so not much to wonder about. It has a tiny airlock, made it this way because it's a hanger and it needs the space. Now, moving in here, you'll see that on my lower right screen it says oxygen. It has refinery there, air vent, oxygen tank, and air vent. The reason I choose 2 is because it fills the room faster. If the hangar doors open, you'll empty the room instantly. It has button panels to open the doors. I'll do that. Opens the door. And if I just took a little ship and pasted it. Oh. There. I can... This is a demonstration. Third person view. And now I have to... Since this is in creative and doesn't have the automatic function, I set the ship to me, and then I can also set all the sensors. Door sensors, me, and then they will react. They're set to small and large ships. Then if I fly away, as if I was coming out of the hangar, it'll close up. And if I forgot something in there, and I'll come back, and it'll open again. Then you have a connector on each side, so you can refill your ships with whatever. This ship is meant for docking this way. So, a few inventories on each side, hooked up to the conveyor system. You can then pull items from the rest of the ship, and you can sit here in an oxygized environment and then just construct new ships or repair ships, protected by the blast doors. You have on the outside as well panels to open if you choose, if you're not flying a ship, which would automatically open. So the cockpit's front, we're moving on. In the airlock, and then moving on to this module, which is the gravity drive front. The gravity drive isn't much to see unless you've never been in seen a gravity drive. It has substantial amount of reactors. As you can imagine, all of this requires a bit of power. And it also has, the gyros. You can't really see them, but they're up here. Gyros in all 4 corners, so you have a lot of gyros to maneuver with. 4 flight seats, because if I place 1, that means one of the corners will have more mass than the rest of the corners, so I have to add the equal amount to every corner in order to balance the module. That's the same thing with the doors. It has 4 doors, up and down, left and right. Unfortunately, you can't fly through because of that. So, but you can access the flight seats from any side, which is the point. And then lastly, you have the thruster module. There is a little bit of spare space here where you can place stuff if you feel that the ship has a little too few gyros. You can just place some additional ones. I can't place on that side, but I can place it there. And the reason, as you can see, I cannot place on this side is because these thrusters will tear them up. But on this side I can, and the center I can, because it's 1 block lower than the back thrusters, or which would be the forward ones anyway. So that's pretty much it. If I have forgotten anything, I don't remember. It's possible to take any module and create several ones. And let's say I want a very armed ship. I can just put in defense modules in between every module, or an infinite amount of modules of any of the center ones that you choose. The only thing that I think I forgot is this, the cargo module and the factory module. Both has connectors on each side for docking your ship. I'll see if I can demonstrate that real quick, because the reason I welding ships there. The reason I choose to do that is because since the connector here is, well, socketed into the wall, I want to show that with these armor blocks that has a different hitbox than the square one, it'll still allow a clean connection, even if it's the same distance from the hull. It might not connect right now because of the ownership differences, but if I do this, ownership me, and then set this connector, if I can get in there. No. Well, if I change the ownership, it should. I'll try to do that then. And there it goes. Now I'll let it stay for a while because I was a bit angled here as I came in. Because if I leave it before I lock in, it'll straighten itself out a bit. And locking in like that. And as you can see, it doesn't blow up the connector or the thrusters. It doesn't destroy anything. Might be a little dent here. Yeah. Well, it works. And that's pretty much it. And as you can see, wherever you will place the ship in space, the solar panels will run most of the ship as it's idle. And then if you choose, take the bar module, disconnect it, drive it off, attack someone, doesn't matter. And that's pretty much it, I think. So, thank you for watching, and I hope someone will use this.